Have you ever found yourself putting off important tasks, knowing you need to act, yet feeling trapped in an endless cycle of distractions and excuses? Worst of all, deep down you know that procrastination is stealing the opportunities of your life. It's pulling you away from your dreams, your goals, and the life you deserve to live. Napoleon Hill, one of the greatest students of success, identified an invisible enemy that destroys careers, corrodes ambition, and condemns people to a life of mediocrity: procrastination. He called it the most destructive habit of the human mind and revealed how disciplined and focused minds can defeat it. That's exactly what you're about to discover here. Think for a moment. How many times have you promised yourself to change? How many times have you sworn that tomorrow you'd do things differently, only to fall back into the same patterns? That tomorrow never comes, because your mind is programmed to keep you in the comfort zone. Procrastination isn't your weakness, it's a mental trap. And today you'll learn how to escape it. In the next few minutes you'll understand why your mind works against you and how to reprogram it to act with determination and clarity. You'll discover a simple yet powerful method, based on the timeless principles of Napoleon Hill, that can transform your relationship with action and set you on the path to immediate progress. You may not realize it, but procrastination is a silent enemy, eroding your willpower, derailing your dreams, and sabotaging your success. It doesn't shout, it doesn't make a scene, but it shows up in every delayed decision, every wasted opportunity, and every broken promise you make to yourself. Hill explained that this habit disguises itself as comfort, as a false sense of security. Your mind convinces you that tomorrow will be a better day to start, that it's not the right time yet, that you need more information, more motivation, more time. But the brutal truth is that every time you give in to that inner voice, you're training your brain to accept stagnation. Every time you postpone an action, you are programming yourself to fail. Napoleon Hill identified that procrastination isn't just a bad habit, it's a form of mental slavery. In Outwitting the Devil, he described the concept of drifting, the act of wandering through life without direction, allowing fear and laziness to dictate your actions. The procrastinator does not own his own mind. He is being controlled, not by an external force, but by his own conditioning that keeps him trapped in inertia. But the good news is that you can break this cycle right now. What if, instead of postponing your goals, you could reprogram your mind to act immediately, without hesitation? Hill discovered this was possible because he studied the most successful men of his time and revealed a common pattern. They all possessed an unshakable sense of urgency. They understood that every wasted moment was a lost step toward the life they wanted to build. This is where your commitment begins. From today on, you will no longer be a slave to procrastination. You will not allow this enemy to steal a single second more of your life. In Think and Grow Rich, Hill reveals that indecision is one of the greatest obstacles to success. Every time you hesitate, every time you postpone a choice waiting for the right moment, you are training your mind to accept procrastination. The reality is that procrastination is not born from laziness, but from doubt. And where there is doubt, there is always weakness. The people who achieve great things are not the ones who wait until they feel ready. They are the ones who decide before they are ready. They understand that action comes before motivation, not the other way around. Hill discovered that the most influential leaders made decisions quickly and stuck to them. While most people constantly change their minds, waiting for a guarantee of success, true achievers take action and adjust course along the way. Immediate decision is powerful because it breaks the mental pattern of procrastination. When you decide with conviction, your mind stops searching for excuses and starts looking for solutions. You no longer ask yourself, should I do this? But instead, how can I do this right now? That simple shift completely transforms your ability to act. And here's the secret. The decision doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be made. If you wait for absolute clarity, you'll never get anywhere. Napoleon Hill discovered that those who wait for absolute certainty before acting end up as prisoners of fear. Life is not a path of total safety, but a game of probabilities. The real winners are not the ones who analyze everything from the sidelines, but the ones who dare to step onto the field and play, even knowing they don't have all the answers. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You will never have 100% of the information before you start. But that doesn't matter. What truly matters is your ability to commit and adapt along the way. Try it right now. Think of one action you've been putting off. Maybe it's sending a message, starting a project, making a call, or simply taking the first step toward a dream you've left on hold. Do it now, without overthinking. That simple act of deciding and executing breaks the chain of procrastination and gives you back control of your life. In the next stage comes a fundamental principle Hill identified in his research, the principle of momentum. Imagine a motionless locomotive. A small block of wood is enough to stop it. But if that same locomotive is moving at full speed, not even a concrete wall could hold back its force. That's how your mind works. When you're still, every obstacle seems insurmountable. But once you get moving, it becomes almost impossible to stop you. Success, Hill reminds us, is not built on giant leaps, but on the sum of small, consistent actions. He called it the power of habit. The key is not to wait until you feel motivated, but to act first. Because motivation is not the cause of action, it's the consequence. The more you act, the more motivated you feel. And the more motivated you feel, the more you act. This is the positive cycle that destroys procrastination. How can you apply it in a practical way? By reducing the initial resistance to the minimum. If you need to write a report, commit to drafting just one sentence. If you want to go to the gym, start by putting on your workout clothes. These micro-commitments may seem ridiculous, but they are what truly dismantle inertia. The human mind hates to stop something it has already started. Take the first step, even if it's small, and you'll see how your brain seeks to complete the task. Here's your next challenge. Identify a task you've been avoiding for a long time and break it down into the smallest possible step. Do it now and watch your momentum grow. That is the true power of action. But there's something deeper. Napoleon Hill taught that behind the habit of action lies a principle that is the foundation of all mental transformation. Autosuggestion. Your thoughts are seeds, and your subconscious mind is the fertile soil where they grow. If every day you repeat phrases like "I'm lazy," "I'm not disciplined," "I can't focus," then guess what? Those beliefs will take root and shape your behavior. The good news is that you can plant new seeds. Change your inner dialogue. Repeat with conviction phrases such as, "I act immediately," "I am disciplined and consistent," "I finish what I start." It may sound like wordplay, but it isn't. Today, neuroscience confirms what Hill discovered more than 80 years ago. The constant repetition of thoughts rewires the connections in your brain. If for years you've reinforced the identity of someone who procrastinates, you won't change it in a single day. But with practice and conscious autosuggestion, you'll begin to reprogram your mind. Write down an affirmation that reflects the person you want to become. Repeat that phrase every morning and before starting any important task. Within a week, you'll start noticing a change. In a month, it will be evident. And in a year, you will have built a new identity. And the most powerful part is yet to come. Because Hill also revealed a hidden principle, present in the greatest achievers in history. A secret that completely changes the way you perceive time and ensures you'll never procrastinate the same way again. Time is your most valuable resource. More valuable than money, more valuable than any possession. Every second you waste on procrastination is a piece of your life you will never get back. Think about this. How many days, months, or even years have slipped away, postponing what you knew you had to do? How many opportunities ceased to exist because you didn't act at the right moment? The most common mistake is believing that there will always be more time, that someday the perfect moment will come. But that day never arrives. Napoleon Hill was clear. Time does not forgive those who don't value it. It doesn't wait. It doesn't negotiate. What you don't do today, you will most likely never do tomorrow. Procrastination is a silent thief. It doesn't just steal your achievements, it also robs you of your self-confidence. Every time you postpone, you are training your brain to settle for less, to accept a smaller life. Little by little you become a spectator of others' success, while you wait for a perfect moment that will never appear. Now imagine this. You have a bank account where every morning 86,400 seconds are deposited. Every day you receive the same amount, not a single one more. But what you don't use is gone forever. Would you throw that money away as if it were worthless? Would you let it slip away unused? Of course not. And yet, that's exactly what happens with your life when you procrastinate. So here's your challenge. Stop procrastinating. Act as if every second of your existence were an unrepeatable investment. Choose one important task and do it. Not tomorrow, not later. Now. Hill observed something fascinating in great achievers. They all acted with urgency. Not because they weren't afraid, but because they understood that waiting was the real risk. And here arises the big question. How can you act without hesitation, without allowing fear to paralyze you? Hill found the answer in a powerful principle: burning the bridges. This concept comes from ancient military strategies. When an army crossed a bridge to invade a territory, the leader ordered the bridge destroyed behind them. There was no turning back. The only option was to advance and fight with everything they had. Now reflect. How many times have you procrastinated because you knew you could put it off once more? As long as the option to retreat exists, your mind will seek refuge in comfort. That's why the greats eliminate that exit. Thomas Edison spent his last penny on experiments, forcing himself to find solutions. Henry Ford made decisions everyone called madness, but he pressed forward because he didn't allow himself to retreat. Burning the bridges is an internal declaration. There is no going back, only forward. Your challenge now is to identify something you've postponed for too long and create a commitment that prevents you from turning back. It can be something public, like announcing it to your friends or your audience, or something private but compelling, like an investment that forces you to act. Remove the escape option, and your mind will enter a state of absolute clarity. But another inevitable question arises. How do you maintain discipline when motivation disappears? Here lies another truth Hill discovered. The most successful people don't rely on willpower. They create systems that force them to act, even on days when they don't feel like it. Our brain, by nature, seeks immediate pleasure and avoids effort. That explains why we put things off. However, there is a psychological trick that flips this pattern: positive pressure. Hill observed that when people put themselves in situations where failure would be painful, their minds find a way to act. Think about deadlines. When you have weeks left, you procrastinate. But when the deadline is tomorrow, you accomplish in hours what you didn't do in months. That's the power of positive pressure. The greats don't wait for pressure to arrive on its own. They create it intentionally. How? By committing publicly to their goals. If you tell only yourself, you can fail without consequences. But when you promise a friend, a mentor, or even your audience, your mind works overtime to avoid the shame of not delivering. So here's a practical tool. Commit to someone. Declare what you're going to do and in what time frame you'll achieve it. Make failure a painful option and action the only possible outcome. In the next part, you'll discover how this principle, combined with autosuggestion and conscious discipline, can turn into an unstoppable system. A system that will push you forward even when doubt and fatigue show up. Because in the end, what defines the greats is not what they think, nor what they dream. It's what they do, minute by minute, with the limited time that life gives them. Napoleon Hill called this external accountability. When someone expects something from you, your brain understands that procrastination is no longer an option. The pressure no longer comes only from within, but also from outside. And that changes everything. Here's your challenge. Take a goal you've been putting off and announce it publicly. It could be on social media, with your family, or with a mentor you respect. Make it visible, make it real. That positive pressure will create genuine commitment, and your mind will find the strength to act, even in those moments when motivation disappears. Now another question arises. How do you maintain energy and enthusiasm over time so you don't quit halfway? Hill discovered that lack of enthusiasm is one of the main reasons people give up. The problem isn't that they lack ability. It's that they lose their inner fire before reaching their goals. Hill taught that enthusiasm is a state of mind that can be deliberately cultivated. It doesn't appear by chance. It's the result of a clear purpose, a stimulating environment, and the certainty that every action leads to something greater. The common mistake is thinking you must wait to feel enthusiastic before starting. But true achievers know the opposite is true. Enthusiasm comes from action, not the other way around. Think about it. How many times have you started a task without much energy, only to realize that as you made progress, you felt more motivated? That's the power of momentum. Action creates enthusiasm, and enthusiasm creates more action. But most people never get there, because they quit too soon. Hill taught that the secret is to train your mind to get excited about every small victory. How? With a system of rewards. Celebrate each step forward. It doesn't have to be big. It could be a personal acknowledgement, a special coffee, a well-earned break, or a small treat. What matters is that your brain starts linking action with positive feelings. That's how you build a virtuous cycle. Action, enthusiasm, more enthusiasm. Your next challenge. Write down 3 small rewards you'll give yourself each time you complete something you've been postponing. Keep it simple, but meaningful. And watch how your mind begins to crave action instead of fearing it. In the next part, you'll discover something even more powerful: how to eliminate distractions and enter a state of extreme productivity. Hill taught that the human mind reaches its true power when it focuses intensely on one objective. The ability to concentrate absolutely is one of the most decisive factors of success. The problem is we live in the age of distractions: social media, notifications, emails, TV. Every interruption steals fragments of your attention until the day is gone, and you realize you didn't move forward on anything important. The truth is harsh. You will never beat procrastination if you keep giving distractions unlimited access to your mind. That's why the great guardians of their purpose designed environments for concentration. Henry Ford worked in isolated rooms. Thomas Edison conducted his experiments at night to avoid interruptions. Hill insisted that your environment must reinforce your discipline, not sabotage it. The method is simple but powerful. Block distractions. Schedule time blocks where your only mission is to work on your goal without interruptions. Put your phone on airplane mode. Silence notifications. Use neutral background sounds if needed. Create a space where your mind can operate at its highest level. Your practical challenge. Within the next 24 hours, choose a time block of at least 50 minutes to work with 0 distractions. Write down the task, prepare your environment, and feel the power of your focused mind. Now we arrive at the final piece, the key that ties everything together. Because the real question is, how do you make sure this doesn't become just another temporary effort, but a permanent lifestyle? Hill discovered the truth. The real secret of success isn't in bursts of motivation, but in the ability to act consistently day after day until it becomes part of your identity. Procrastination, after all, is just a habit. And like any habit, it can be replaced. Hill observed that the most successful people in the world understood something essential. Your behavior shapes your identity. Every time you procrastinate, you reinforce the idea that you're someone who delays. But every time you act, even when you don't feel like it, you reinforce the identity of a disciplined, productive person. Repeat that action over and over, and your identity changes. And when your identity changes, so does your destiny. So here's the great lesson. You don't need endless motivation. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You just need to decide to act today. Take one step, then another, and another. Those small acts will become habits, and those habits will shape the identity of someone unstoppable. That's the real victory over procrastination, turning action into a lifestyle. Here's a powerful principle. Stop telling yourself you need motivation to act. The world's great achievers don't wait to feel motivated. They act because that's simply who they are. Just like you don't need motivation to brush your teeth or take a shower, because it's already part of your identity. Your productivity must also become something natural and automatic. The only way to achieve this is to act again and again until your behavior becomes unquestionable. Napoleon Hill recommended a simple yet profoundly effective process. Make a 30-day commitment to act every single day, no excuses, even if it's just for 5 minutes. The goal isn't quantity, it's consistency. If you never break that chain, by the end of the month procrastination will no longer be a problem, because your mind will accept that action is simply what you do. Now here's your challenge. Choose one goal you've been putting off and commit to working on it for the next 30 days. It doesn't matter if it's a big project or a small habit. The essential thing is to train your mind to understand that procrastination no longer has a place in your life. Throughout this video, you've discovered that procrastination isn't just a bad habit. It's an invisible enemy that steals your dreams and destroys your chances of success. But you've also learned that you're not its slave, because action has always been in your hands. Napoleon Hill proved that every decision you make today defines who you will become tomorrow. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? You can leave this video and keep waiting for the right moment, which will never come. Or you can decide right now to take the first definitive step to destroy procrastination once and for all. Success doesn't depend on talent or luck. Success belongs to those who act while others keep waiting. And now, you already have all the tools to begin. It won't be easy, but it will be possible. There will be days when your mind tries to drag you back into your comfort zone, days when discouragement knocks at your door, but now you know how to fight back. Decide, create momentum, eliminate distractions, and develop the habit of action. At first, it will take conscious effort, but soon it will become part of your identity. And once that happens, nothing will be able to stop you. And to prove to yourself that this change starts today, I want you to do something simple. Write in the comments the very first action you will take today to break free from procrastination. Don't leave it for later. Write it now. Commit publicly. And if this video brought you value, hit like and subscribe, because here you'll find the knowledge that transforms your mindset and takes you to the next level.